We're live. Hi, I'm Ralph Preston, and I run Stroke Buddies. And every Tuesday we have stroke survivor support group meetings. Some Tuesdays we have guests where we have scientists and therapists. Next week we're going to have Dr. Samantha Amadeo, and we're going to talk about cognitive overload. Both how to deal with cognitive overload in the early days and then how to use overloading yourself cognitively to build up brain power as you get better. Today we're going to do live physical therapy class number 4, for lack of a catchier title, and had a lot of requests to do. I called it improving gait because that's a broader subject. Had some requests to talk about both drop foot and getting off AFOs. Well, both of those are like, 5-week topics each, but we'll get started today. Let me enable a, where's tools? Host tools. Enable waiting room. Okay, forgot to do that. Both getting off an AFO and Musson, I sent you a video. There's some reasons not to get off an AFO. Some people can't, and there's some reasons, particularly in the beginning, where an AFO gets you moving, and getting you moving is better than sitting in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what happens, I think, is that most of the time our insurance runs out before the therapist can get you off the AFO. So I see a lot of people stuck on them, and some people need to be on them. Certainly, if you got a lot of inversion or contracture, that would be a good reason, because you don't want to roll your ankle, and break it. So anyway, both of these things involve ankle. Ankle strength is important to lots of things. The more I think about it or talk about it, the more I realize that, I had a physical therapist, 2 physical therapists tell me that the secret to running again was ankle strength. And that was Mitch Raymond, who runs 5 and 10Ks, and David Dancero, who's run 2 marathons. They're both, David was a PT who had a stroke, returned to his practice. Mitch had a stroke at 6 years old and became a PT. So they're both physical therapists, and they both run post-stroke. So that has a lot of credibility with me. I didn't do so well running after stroke. I can kind of do it, but I'm all out of opposition and everything. So, ankle strength, I think, is key. And one of the things, so I thought we'd just go over some basic ankle exercises, and then people can ask questions about drop foot, AFOs, anything for that matter. So, let me see here. How am I going to do this? I need a cameraman. This Zoom stuff is kind of tricky. Getting my feet in the wrong way. So, I guess I'll put my feet where they go. Or my chair where it goes. Okay. So let me get something here, because I can do this now, but not everybody can. I'll have to fake it with this. Okay, so one of the things that we have a lot of trouble with, and that's because our calves control it. You can feel your calf muscles tightening if you raise your toes. So my left is affected here. So one of the things you want to be able to do is dorsiflect. That's pull that toe up towards you. So when you can't pull that toe up towards you, it's down on the ground. And if you can't lift the leg and the toes down on the ground, we all know what happens, right? You stub your toe.
Hey,
And
Ralph, can you scoot back a little bit?
sure.
Thank you.
Okay, I can't.
That's
I
better.
have the computer screen tilted down so I can't see. Like I said, I really could use a camera guy, but can't afford one. And where do I get one? It's going to be free every Tuesday. Okay, so you want to be able to lift that toe up. You want to be able to get it off the ground. The other part of not dragging your foot or stubbing your toe is being able to lift your leg. Now, while you're here, you do some leg lifts as well as toe lifts. So that's a real basic exercise, dorsiflexion. What if you can't do it yet? Okay. Well, I usually have a rope. I didn't think about this morning. I don't have a rope here, and my TheraBand broke, so it's real short. Imagine this is a 4-foot rope or TheraBand or something. You can put the TheraBand under and pull up. Now, whenever you're doing passive or assisted motion, you want to think about it. You want to, like, even though you're pulling up to get it further, you want to be
A
thinking,
belt works, Ralph.
huh?
A belt works. If you've got a belt, that works.
A belt?
Yeah.
I have a belt. That's great, Chris. It'll take me 30 seconds to get it. You gotta pull it out of my pants.
You
Okay,
only need one hand. You only need one hand for a belt.
good suggestion. Not only do I have a belt, I have a 10-strand braided leather belt that I made 52 years ago and I'm still wearing. Okay, this is much better because you can get your hands up higher. So whatever you're doing passive, you want to think about it. So one of the things you do is you get better and you get some movement is you can try and lift it some and then pull it up a little bit more with the belt. But anytime you're doing passive movement, you want to think about it. It's called mental imagery or mental practice, and it helps build connections. Okay, now somebody out there is saying, well, I got no right hand or I got no left hand. Well, you can do this one-handed. This is my unaffected hand crossing over. You want to put it right in the center. You don't want to pull up on either side. So there you go. Affected foot coming up, being pulled up by a single hand, unaffected hand. So that's something simple that you can do. And dorsiflexion's really important. Why? Because when you put your foot down, that's too high. When you're walking, imagine I'm walking, you put your foot down, you land on your heel. How are you going to land on your heel if your foot's flat? When I see drop foot, mostly when I see people putting their foot down like that, or even with toe a little bit first and then the heel, like this, like hard to do. Anyhow, they put their foot down flat. They don't heel strike. We're supposed to land on our heel, roll through, and then push off of the toe. I'm going to show you something here with this walking frame later. I call them roll-offs, for lack of a better term. They're probably the best ankle exercise. They're also more difficult if you're still struggling with dorsiflexion or something. You might not be ready for them. Okay, so while we're down here, and I can't see what I'm doing, but my feet are in there, a couple other things you can do, real simple. Sitting in a chair, sitting in a wheelchair. I'm sitting in a chair, but I go over there and get a wheelchair if you don't believe me. So one other thing you can do is eversion, and that's moving your feet out away from the center line. Real simple. I don't really have an assist for this. I guess you could assist your affected foot with. Now I'm doing them also bilaterally. Why? Because, well, in this case, you pretty much have to. I guess you could do them all by themselves. It just seems natural to do them bilaterally. You can also do the dorsiflexion bilaterally. A lot of times doing something with both sides together helps your brain. Your brain keeps some of the signals. You know, we're all taught brain sends all the signals from the right to the left. So, you know, my right brain sending the signals to the left side of my body to lift the foot. Well, guess what? 15% of them stay over there, which means they go to the right side. So if you do things together, a lot of times it helps. It helps with timing, coordination, and also helps build connections. So I always do eversion bilaterally. I mostly do everything bilaterally, or I also believe in symmetry. So if it's something you do on one side, I guess my cat's got something to say about all this. Are my feet even in this thing? Yeah. I always do both sides because I'm a big believer in symmetry and keeping things equal. Now, you're not going to be able to do this today. We're not sitting around talking. Okay, so let's see, what's another one? I'm pulling these out of my head. I have a list up there, but I can't see it. One thing you can do is, now this one you have to be a little bit careful of. This is real good. It's called down and in, for lack of a better term. Is what a PT who showed it to me called it. So you go down, so your foot is normally here. I'll leave my heel on the ground so it doesn't shake or as much. So you go down and in and up and out. Down and in, up and out. Now I said something about being careful because anybody who's dealt with a heel that doesn't go down, that means your toes pointed. That's a standard stroke pattern where people try and put their foot flat on the ground and their heel won't go down. If you have that issue, you have to do a lot of weight bearing on both legs, on your affected leg only. Okay, so that's a stroke pattern. It's kind of like when your arm wants to cross across your chest. It's not something you want to play into. Anybody who gets like leg shakes at night or points their toes in the morning, if you've ever gotten a Charlie horse, that's what I'm talking about. So if you're pointing your toe like that to be down and in, up and out, down and in, up and out. When you point your toe, if you feel a Charlie horse or something coming on, don't do it. There are other exercises you can do. So let's see, what are some of those other exercises? Well, ankle circles are real good. Our ankles move in a lot of different ways. I mean, we're going up and down, we're going in and out. Okay, so one thing you can do is ankle circles. I do these mostly bilaterally, mainly because I get a lot better motion. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So here's going to the outside. Here's going to the inside. Now watch, I can do them. You can't see my face straightening. They're a lot harder on my brain. When I do them both at the same time, it just comes naturally. So those are ankle circles or something else you can do. Let's see. I might have to look at the list here in a minute. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I just mentioned that the ankles move in a lot of different ways. And so things like ankle circles and stuff help move them in a lot of different ways. The one exercise I think that moves them in a lot of different ways and is really good is that they'll tell you to draw the alphabet. Now this one you do only with your affected side. So you can do it in the air, like I guess my foot's still in. I can draw an A, and then a B, and then a C. Now you don't want to draw them by moving your knee and leg around. You want to draw them. I'm not holding my knees steady. Like drawing a C, you want to move the foot. That's not a very good C. If I had a pen in my hand, that would be a little jerky. Anyway, I'm doing them in the air. Another way you can do them is point your toe on the ground and draw them, but that doesn't move your ankle as much, see? I'm mostly just moving my foot. So better to do them in the air. And if you need to, you can hold your, can you see that high? Yeah, oh yeah, you can see. I can hold my leg up. So, when you draw an A, you got all nice straight lines. When you draw a B, you got combination between the straight line and then the two bumps. When you draw a C, you just got a big curve. D, you're back to a straight line and a big curve. E, so those are some simple ones that you can do. Need to come back for a second, take a look at my little list. I have a list of all these, a playlist where I demonstrate all of them. Of course, yeah, heel raises. That's probably number one. Toe raises and ankle flexion, inversion. Yeah, did that down and in. Roll off's not there yet. Dorsiflexion, ankle circles, drawing with the alphabet. Okay, well, we did a bunch of them there, didn't we? So heel raises.
What's a lot harder, Ralph, is when you're standing up on your heels and then you try to lift your toes.
When you're standing up?
When you're weight bearing, yes.
Yeah. Well, let's do a couple of weight bearing ones then. Let's see, we got heel raises and heel raises, and then mostly roll offs are next. They're both standing up. Okay, I went and visited a young man yesterday. I was advocating for him. Spent the day at a rehab hospital, attended two PT and one OT sessions, talked to lots of caseworkers and stuff. While I was there in PT, I saw them using a walking frame like parallel bars. Their gym was like 200 feet by 100 feet wide, so I'm sure they had parallel bars somewhere, but maybe somebody was on them. I felt really not vindicated because they didn't deny it, but about 7 or 8 years ago, I had somebody who didn't have parallel bars, and I made parallel bars out of a frame walker, as you can see here. Now, she had ataxia, which meant she would try, and when she was working, she would try and lift the walking frame like right off the ground, and it worried me. So I'm in the video business, and we use sandbags. I'll get this belt out of here. We use sandbags to keep light stands from tipping over. So I put a 25-pound sandbag on each side. Oh, I gotta admit somebody. Hang on. Did I admit her? I hope I did. I hit the wrong button. Okay. I put a 25-pound sandbag on each side. And I'll tell you what. I don't even know if I can lift it. Yeah, I can lift it. That's not, well, I mean, you could fall over and take it over with you, I suppose. but it really provides a lot of stability like the counter does. I'm gonna turn it, see, can everybody see my heels okay? I'm 10 feet away from the screen in a little picture. Can you see my heels all right?
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you, Winnie. Okay, I'll turn a little bit more. So heel raises are real good for ankle strengthening. They also build up your feet because when you come up, you're on your toes. You're bending your feet at your toes also. Okay, so I usually do them at the counter, but here we are. We don't have a counter. I don't want to set up the whole thing in my dining room kitchen. So this works just fine. I usually hang on to the counter, or actually, I don't need to hang on to anything to do them, but I'm usually near something because I'm a big believer in safety. And every once in a while, I get wonky and I need to grab onto something. So I always have something nearby, even if I don't use it. So heel raises are really good. Now, I don't know how to demonstrate this. If you do them out on the steps, in my video, I show myself doing them on the steps. I have front steps with railings on both sides. They're great because I move towards the right, so my right hand can touch the right railing if I need to, because that's my strong side. If your right side was your weak side, then you move to the left so you could hang on to the left counter. But the main thing about the steps is you can dip below grade. So so imagine my toes are on the steps and my heels are down below the level of the step. What's happening now? I'm doing dorsiflexion, aren't I? My toes are up. So people can't do dorsiflexion if they do them on the steps. By the way, I do them where just my toes are on the steps. But you can move up and put the ball of your board like the ball of your feet. Of course, you gotta have something hanging over or you can't dip it below. But if you go up on the steps and then when you go below, your toes come up. I've also done them at the counter where now you don't want to just stick your butt up. I don't know if anybody can see my butt moving or not. You can raise your toes pretty much just by sticking your butt out helps. You don't want to do that. You want to keep a good erect posture and pull those toes up. So I've also done them right at the counter where I do heel raise, toe raise, heel raise, toe raise, heel raise, toe raise. So another thing you can do is most everybody, including me, I think, oh, okay, when I'm doing them equally because I'm pushing up the same and it feels the same. Well, guess what? When you go to do them on your affected, I guess everybody can see that if I get my leg out of the way. This is affected leg only. If I go do them there, I go, whoa, wait a minute now. That's much harder. Why? Because my right leg was doing 80 or 90% of the work. So now I got to resist pushing down on the walking frame because I can only do about 5 or 6 of these before my leg starts tiring. When your legs start shaking or any part of your body starts shaking from muscle strain, that's time to stop. You can, like mine just barely started. You might not be able to see it. I won't go there very much. I don't want to like do 3 more and show you a big old muscle strain. But I just waited, what, 30 seconds? And I can go again. 2, 3, 4, 5. Up. See that clunk down? Okay, like everything we've ever talked about, It's always about the down. Okay, so two things would stop me from doing them and make me rest. One would be if my legs start spasming. I'm not talking about clonus. I'm talking about, everybody know what clonus is, when body part just shakes after a stroke. I'm not talking about clonus. I'm talking about muscle fatigue. So that would be one, and the other would be when you're going down with the heel raises, if you can't hold it nice and smooth all the way down and just drops, it means you don't have any strength left. Because everything, arm curl, it's all about the down. You can imagine this is a big old weight. I mean, it's easy to jerk it up. We tend to pull things towards us as human beings. We grab things and pull them towards us. Extension is, well, we use it a lot if you want to punch somebody or grab something, but we pull things towards us more. So this is a big old 20-pound weight. So if I can't like drop that nice and smooth, you want to have go with a 5-pound weight or something. Let me see if I got a weight that's big enough. Or I can't do it here. I got a 7-pound weight right here. Now these are 10s. That's a 10. I'm sure I can fatigue my arm with a 10. Okay. Oh yeah. I really feel it. I'm having a hard time doing it smooth. See that jerk? I have a bump right here. So I would get a lighter weight and I would work right there through the bump. But after 4 or 5 of these, I'm having a real hard time. I want to put my elbow into my body to make it easier, and I'm pretty much done. That's a whole nother subject. I've covered it before because I'm not really a big believer in big heavy weights. I'm a big believer in repetitions more than weights. In fact, I started with no weights. I'd get the range of motion down, and then maybe I'd do a 1-pound, 2-pound. I rarely use those 10-pounders. I bought a set, 10, 7, 5, 2, and 1. Now the ones didn't come in the set, but I have a set of ones. So, one thing I did with the heel raises is I did them in the pool. I could do 5, 6, 7 on land on my affected leg only. I could do sets of 50 in the pool because my buoyancy took away some of my weight and made it easier. I find that's really good because you don't have to fight that. You don't have to like figure out when you're fatiguing and when to stop. You just can keep going. You can do sets of 50 instead of, or 20. With not sets of 5, so you can get a lot more in. And you can do a smoother down because you don't have so much weight push. Because you're floating. Essentially, your body's water, and you're in the water, so you're kind of half floating. Or part of your weight is not there due to the buoyancy. Let's see. So I was I had access to a pool though, so not everybody does. And we're, for outdoor pools, South Carolina, we got another month or so. We're heading out of, up north, we're heading out of pool season rapidly. And indoor pools, like the swimming pool, is 80 degrees. If you've ever tried to do therapy in a swimming pool, after about 20 minutes or half an hour, you'll be freezing your butt off. The therapy pool at the gym, the gym I go to is associated with a hospital, and they have a PT clinic on the other side of the pool, and they have a pool therapist. So they've got a 90 to 91 degree pool with a lift and lots of steps, small steps. So people with gait issues can walk in and out. We used to have the people, if they could, had 2 people we had to lift in and out. Most of the people that we worked with, I took about 6 or 8 stroke survivors to pool therapy for every week for periods of time, 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever. But we used to get them to walk in and then work them hard enough that we lifted them out. So let's see. Roll off.
Yeah,
But
just real quick, like, go ahead, Ralph.
hang on, Musam. We'll come right back to you in questions. I got one more exercise in this list of ankle exercises, and that's the one that I said is it's probably the best exercise out there for ankles because. Okay, let me think about this. Let me get this weight out of the way so I can't possibly trip over it. Okay. And how am I going to do roll-offs? I usually do them with a chair or something to my right. So I'll move this way. And we need to tilt down so we can see my feet. I do them with like a chair in my dining room normally, but this will work because that's not going anywhere. And I don't really need them for, I can do roll-offs without touching them. Am I still in the frame? Yeah. So roll-off, let me just show you. I'll touch them and I'll show you without touching, but then I'll tell you why I prefer to touch. So in a roll-off, in our walking pattern, like I said, we land, this is my unaffected foot. We land on our heel, come down, push off with that leg behind, move that leg forward, strike on the heel, then push this one off. Is my left foot here in the frame? Everybody see that? So start here, heel comes down, toe, push off, other leg comes forward, land on the heel, roll off to the toe and push off, and now I'm losing my safety. Now the other leg comes up. Okay, so I can stand here with this thing for safety, and I can do a roll off. Now some people, I've had therapists, I was showing them originally where you just put the heel down and rocked up on the toe. I was demonstrating or saying, what about roll-offs to another therapist, and they said, why don't you go ahead and move your other foot up? I said, that's a good idea. Can't hurt. Also completes one full step. So you put your heel down, roll off, come forward. I just touch with my heel. Shouldn't touch with my toe. And then back. Now, like I said, I can do them without touching. Why do I touch? Because when I touch, I don't have to think about my balance. When I'm not using part of my brain to think about balance, I can use that part of my brain to think about and do the exercise better. So basically, my feet are still in. Okay, this framing's working pretty good. And how far do I go? I can go way up here. Oh, good. Okay. So basically, you can do them on your unaffected side as well. This is one of the exercises I don't particularly do on my unaffected side. Just work the affected side. So heel down, touch, and back. Heel down, roll off. Do what we're learning to do. But a lot of it is this push off right here, because I don't know about you guys, but I walked flat-footed for a while. I'm just going to put my foot down. Actually, I had small circumduction, and I kind of dragged it, and my toe was down. Yeah, I did that a lot. Caught my toe. So in the beginning, what I would do would be I would land with my heel down, maybe not that much dorsiflexion, land with my heel down, but then I'd like just walk off of it. And I would bend eventually, but I wasn't doing the push off. Watch the difference. See here, I'm pushing off. I kind of delay this other leg, so I'm kind of like doing a heel raise. So heel down, go to a heel raise, other foot forward, and just practice them. And I like exercises like that that are part of the whole gait pattern, because you can sit there and raise your toes and do dorsiflexion. Yeah, that's a small part of the gait pattern, but that's a whole lot more. It's got the heel strike, it's got the bringing the other leg forward, it's got the roll off and push off the toe. That's why the two therapists who ran again are telling me that ankle strength is important, because runners have to do a really big bad push off in order to run. If you're not pushing off with that toe big time, you're not going to run. Well, you might be able to move your feet quickly and appear to be running, but you're not going to do, like, if you watch somebody run, they're actually on that toe, only on one toe, while and almost in the air with the rest of their body, because they got that strong of a push off. The push off is what's going to propel you forward, in addition to swinging that other leg and keeping your frame moving forward. That push off is where the power comes from to go forward. It's not coming from the heel strike. That's actually, if you think about it, it's maybe slowing you down. Runners don't do quite as much of a heel strike as we do when we're walking, but that's because they're turning over so fast, and they're concerned about the push off and going forward. So let's see, let me look at my list, and then we'll take some questions and talk about other things that'll come up. So you did heel raises, toe raises, eversion, down and in, up and out.
Is the push off the calf muscle?
Sorry, what, Chris?
Is the push off come from the calf?
Yes, mostly. Yeah, let's see. I just did it seated, but I'm gonna do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see it right here.
Mhm.
So yeah, watch see all that? See all that change when I start pushing off? This guy, there's three muscles. It's called your gastroc, but it's made up of three muscles, and I don't know what that one on the outside is, but I got pretty good. I was a bike. I grew up on a bicycle, and I used to do a lot of bicycling and long bike rides. So I've got that muscle on the outside of my calf, which is common to bicyclists. Another thing, you can always tell somebody rides a bike because they got these muscles right here above their knee, a little bigger than most people. You see, like a professional bike rider, they got big ones right there. I don't think it has anything to do with roll-offs or running or anything. It's just, so I've got pretty good, well, I'm skinny, not skinny, but I'm fit. So I could see the musculature changing when I rolled off. So yeah, Musong or Chris, I mean, it comes. The push off is your calf. So I mean, there are other calf strengthening exercises you can do. I'm drawing a blank right now, but
The only thing I would probably mention is, like, if your calves are tight, like so tight, you can't really do that. You know what
that's
I mean?
true.
yeah, if you got a lot of tone in your calves, like doing all the exercises you're doing, it's very tough to emulate.
Well, I don't have tone or spasticity anymore.
Yeah.
I get a little bit. John Loomis pointed out to me. One time I was going up and down the steps out here with no railing and things in both hands, and my shoulder will posture a little bit. Starts just a
Yeah.
little bit coming up, and that's like spasticity trying to creep in. But if I put the things down and I don't have them in my hands, I don't know about you guys, but like I can walk pretty good. I put things in both my hands. I don't walk as good because now I'm thinking about holding them. And again, like why did I hold on to the walking frame doing roll-offs? So I could take balance out of the equation. See, you put stuff in your hands. Okay, the one thing where I really noticed this, I know I'm a nut job, but I pay attention to a lot of stuff. So I got these big old heavy dinner plates. This is my leftover oatmeal I didn't get to eat yet. I noticed that, I can walk to the dinner table pretty good. Um, when I have a bowl or my plate, I walk a little bit less good because I'm concerned about, I don't have much grip trouble with my affected hand, but I'm still thinking about don't drop the plate. And so my walking suffers because some little part of my brain that I was using for walking now is going to deal with the plate. I don't think we have as much brain power after a stroke. Be very interesting. I mentioned that Dr. Amadeo, Dr. Sam, and I are going to be talking about cognitive overload, and then how to build up cognitive power overloading yourself because you can actually play into that and complicate things and build up brain power, if you will. So, um, speaking of brain power, it'd be helpful if I remember my train of thought here. Um, so anyway, um, that should be an interesting conversation because in the early days, we got kind of overwhelmed. We don't have enough brain power to do what we're trying to do. Oh, I know you mentioned spasticity. Anything and everything with exercise. I mean, we're not ignoring it, but spasticity gets in the way of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest, even like yesterday when I was doing my wedge exercises, trying to keep my heel down, like I would be doing a stretch exercise like this with the wedge. I still had a hard time keeping my heel down because there's so much spasticity and tone there. And no matter how much you stretch, it won't stay down, you know?
Right. Okay. Rick Kowski. Okay, I'm going to admit somebody this late is a bad idea. Okay, let's see if he comes in. I'm standing by in case well, he had to register before. We had some spammers a couple of times, and they're no fun, right, Marilyn?
Yep.
And Marilyn was here, among others. Winnie was here too. Okay, so
Sorry, I couldn't hear anybody earlier.
no problem.
I had to work on my speakers.
No problem. Well,
I
you're
think
back.
I finally got it set up correctly.
Okay, well, you can always watch it saves on YouTube Live, so you can always go back and watch it if you want.
All right, I will.
The ones with scientists and stuff, I edit them, put graphics on the beginning, and upload them and take down the live. But the uh, the classes like this class and Jill's fitness class, I'm not sure. Jill's doing better, but I'm not sure we're going to start that again. I just do them on live. I record them like this just for posterity, and I leave them up on live, so you can always go back and watch it. So, how a lot of and anybody else out there, I made a statement. I got rid of my spasticity. How did I do that? I can tell you how I did it. I can tell you that I think the theory works for everybody, but I can't guarantee that because all strokes are different. What I found was, remember we were talking about, I had a bump here. So like in my arm, I use my arm a lot because it's convenient to get in the frame and show stuff. I had a bump here that I could feel definitely when I put the 10-pound weight, and I worked on that. So first thing you got to do with spasticity is get the whole range of motion back. Like if your elbow won't straighten, you want to work on elbow straightening. One thing you can do is hang your elbow on the edge of a couch and let the rest of your arm give you a passive stretch. You just watch TV with your elbow on the very edge of the arm of a chair, and then whatever few pounds your forearm and hand weigh will put weight to open that wrist up. I mean the elbow up. A lot of people get to here, but they don't get to here. I'll do it voluntarily. Wrong way. So, that's me opening all the way. I don't think it opens. I can't bend it anymore. So I'm opening it all the way. So what I found was the first thing I did before I did any weights was I got the whole range of motion back and I get smooth through it. If I had a bump like I had right here, I still have. I can find it if I want to. I have some permanent shakes, so you can sometimes see my hand doing that. I can stop it. Oh yeah, back to the dinner plates. Penny, you were nodding up and down about the whole thing with brain power. So one thing I found is when I got a full dinner on my plates are stoneware. I had some potter friends make them when I got married. They weigh 1 pound each. That's a lot for a plate. And then you put the food on, so you got a 2 pound thing, and you're holding it out here. And remember, it's 10 inches, so some of the weight's way out here. Pulling that hand, and so I'd carry them, and I got a little bit of shake, but I can stop shake. But guess what? I can do it mentally, but I'm using brain power, aren't I? So when I walk to the dinner table with nothing, I do it fine. When I introduce a plate, I don't quite do it as well. If I want to hold that plate perfectly flat and not have it shake at all, I can do that. Now I'm dragging my left foot because I just don't have enough brain power. So like I said, next week will be interesting because, and I don't know if it's specific to certain things and not to others because like I do a lot of work around the house. So I'd have like 5 or 6 stools and I'd try and load them all up in this hand and avoid this hand. And then I would like go grab the doorknob. I grab the doorknob with like 3 tools in this hand and turn the doorknob. I said, bet I can't do that with my affected hand. So the first thing I did was I started, I had 6 tools. I put 3 or 4 even in my affected hand and 2 or 3 over in my unaffected hand, trying to make this guy work. So a friend of mine with Parkinson's once said, and he has left side shake and Parkinson's. We were talking about this. We were talking about the similarity between. Well, he got diagnosed with Parkinson's about a month before I had my stroke, and I was sitting in the hospital when he came and visited me. Drove an hour and a half to see me from the country. Came in and I said, I couldn't say the S word for a week. Stroke, and like that was gonna make it go away. It's not gonna. And that was when he admitted to me that he'd been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And he said, I couldn't say the P word for about a month, so I completely understand. When you're trying to have a pity party, I wasn't particularly. I did try a few times. I managed to have a few too. But that night when I was like not trying to feel sorry for myself, when I was thinking about everything in the day and the visit, I thought to myself, Ralph, you can get better. Harvey's going to get worse. And that was, I don't wish Harvey, he's doing quite well. He got on some trials and stuff. He's doing quite well for somebody with Parkinson's. Spent almost 18 years now. And he's still living pretty good quality of life. Anyway, he said, we were talking about all this. He said, Lefty's got to do his share. Trying to figure out where that's coming from. Okay, it was smooth zone. All right, didn't light up yellow. You were talking on your phone or something. It's okay, I muted you. When you want to talk, you can talk again. So, yeah, I can stop that plate. In fact, anybody get like their foot or their hand, like in the morning when they wake up, whapping on the bed? I did. My hand would whap on the bed. I don't know if it did it during the night or not. If it did, it would wake me up. But so what did I do? I know we're off topic now, but the first thing I did was I just nail it down with my other hand. Of course, it's this one, my affected hand. I just nail it down and stop it.
If I could just interrupt for a minute, Ralph, this is
Sure.
Bruce Kinsler. Yeah, that shaking of your hand is called clonus.
I don't know if I have clonus or not.
Well, but yeah, I think so, because if you touch it to something or put something on it, it stops. I think it's clonus.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. I'm not going to argue with a PhD neuroscientist. That's for damn sure.
Well, I'm not a neurologist, but I think it's clonus, and I think, as you said, you can stop it by touching it or putting pressure on it.
Maybe it is. I'm going to look that up because I guess most of the cases of clonus I've seen, people can't stop it, and they're a lot more uncontrolled. In mine, I have it all the time. Like I can demonstrate it.
Well, there's a type of seizure called a tonic-clonic seizure, but the shaking part is still clonus, and so the seizure is caused by a different thing than clonus in a stroke, but it's still the shaking.
Okay. So you're saying that's clonus?
Oh, the clonus, now that's an intention tremor. And again, I'm not a neurologist, but
Okay.
what you're just demonstrating is an intention tremor. You're shaking as you're intending to do something.
As
In
soon as
clonus, you're not doing anything.
As soon as I do it, I'm fine. In the early days, if I wanted to hide it, I would just do things really quick. That's the glass is full of water, so I don't want to knock it over here with computers and everything. Yeah, so if I was worried about it, I'd just grab it quick so you can't see. I could tell that I still had shake. I can stop it with my brain. But if I just don't think about it, I go up and I have some. And then I start thinking about it because I don't like it shaking. I can stop it. But anyhow, so my hand would whop in the morning, almost every morning, in 6 months to a year and a half. Almost every, or maybe earlier in 6 months. So I would just nail it down. And then, I don't know if you've heard this before or not, Dr. Hetzler, you might find this interesting. So I would hold it down. I got tired of holding it down. I thought, I wonder, because I was doing all this, remember, passive movement, thinking about it. So I said, okay, what if I like try and stop it? What if I think about stopping it and then only press as hard as I need to with my hand? In other words, split the task between your brain and in this case, the hand stopping it, or in the case of something, opening it, like opening your fingers. You think about opening them and you open them with your other hand and you have a combination going on. So I got a combination going on where I would like try and stop it with my brain and then hold it down. I got pretty good at that. So
Take
then
your cell phone with you, Rathan.
what? What was that, Dr. Hetzler?
I was talking to my wife, sorry.
Oh, no, no problem. I can't see anybody. Well, you're not visible. So anyhow, I got pretty good at like stopping it. I was putting very little pressure on. And at that point, what did I do? I took the next step, obviously. I had this I would stop it with my brain, and when I couldn't, or if it was still shaking, then I'd bring in the other hand. And I got less and less dependent on the other hand, and I learned how to stop it. In that process, I wondered, I bet you if I learn how to stop it, it will stop. I don't know why I thought that, but I did. And guess what I found out? After about 3 or 4 months of being able to stop it with my brain, it stopped happening. It still happens about every 2 or 3 months, just for a second in the morning. And what do? I just, somehow or another, I've got some connections up there that allow me to stop it. And I just shut it right down, right then and there. So that's real interesting. We're into next week's subject, but none of these subjects are hour-long subjects. So
Can I do that for my foot too?
can you do it for your foot?
Yeah,
What does your foot do?
the trembling.
Yeah, you have tremors or clonus in your foot?
Yes.
Yeah. You can hold it down with your other foot. That's a lot easier than bending over.
Okay.
With
Or if
your,
you push on your knee, if you push
Yeah.
your foot down by pushing on your knee, that should stop it.
right.
Not a neurologist, but I think that'll help.
Okay.
It will, because I had a guy, Kevin, I worked with for about a year, and he had it on his affected leg when he was sitting in his wheelchair. After he sat there for a little while, so when you sit in a wheelchair, some people get their butt sore, some people get their restless legs. He got clonus, I guess. And I showed him this technique, and you're right, Dr. Hetzler. It works better if you're seated than if you're standing. Of course, you normally don't get it when you're standing because of the weight bearing. Same way if I've got it here, when I grab it, I don't have it. Same thing, like I put on my eye drops every night. I want to get a video of this. I want to do a series of videos called A Day in the Life. And I'm going to make a list of things like getting dressed. Of course, that'll have to be done. Obviously, you're not going to get people naked to get dressed, but getting dressed, transferring, brushing your teeth, combing your hair, fixing a dinner plate if you can. Some people can't. And one of the things I'd love to do, I'm going to do in mine is I put in eye drops every night. So I do it like this. Watch this hand. But once I get it on my face, it doesn't move.
That's because you're touching your face.
Right. Yeah, once you engage some muscles.
If you do a video of you getting up in the morning, call it a day in the life, have the Beatles song Day in the Life in the background.
Oh, yeah. I read the news today. Oh, boy.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't know if he blew his brains out in a car is really a good message to give to stroke survivors.
Well, that's true.
Not the ones that are, well, no, I just, that wasn't yesterday because I went to rehab hospital yesterday. Recently, we had 1 or 2 of those people who are thinking about ending their life. Yeah, I think they mostly talk about it.
But you were right about the friend of yours that had Parkinson's disease versus you with the stroke, because Parkinson's disease is caused by degeneration of a particular brain pathway, and
Right.
it keeps degenerating.
Right.
The symptoms keep getting worse.
Oh, I know.
Where with a stroke, you can improve them with exercise.
I know. And like I said, I didn't wish Harvey any harm, but that brought me a certain amount of solace, peace that night. And whenever I was, sometimes for a long time after that, if I was having trouble getting motivated or trying to feel sorry for myself, I'd just go, Ralph, if I was trying to motivate myself in the morning, if you don't do your exercises, you're not going to get better. And if I was trying to not feel sorry
I've
for
been there.
myself, I would go, Ralph, you can get better. Harvey's getting worse a little bit every day. Yeah, Dr. Hess, so I I know a couple people. A friend of mine's father died of Parkinson's. Basically, you lose your balance. A lot of people, well, pneumonia is what kills a lot of people when they fall. A lot of people die of pneumonia because you fall and you can't get out of bed and you don't breathe right and you end up, I mean, we're talking about, 85, 88-year-olds. But my friend's father was in his 70s and he eventually completely lost his balance. He fell all the time, broke his hip. Well, that's what a lot of the older people do, break a hip and end up in bed and end up dying of pneumonia. And that's what happened to him. Yeah, it's awful. They're making some progress, and he was been part of a couple of studies. He got on some experimental drugs and well, of course, it's like Robert Frost, the path not taken. He took the drugs, so he went down this path. Got to think that since he hasn't had a lot of trouble. It's almost 18 years. Next spring, I'll be 18. I'll be 18. Well, I will be 18 post-stroke, and he'll be 18 living with Parkinson's. Last time I saw him 2 years ago, he was walking around. He had a little bit of drooling issue, but he's not dead. That counts for a lot.
Counts for a lot.
Yeah, I know. I don't think about it every morning when I wake up, but we live in a world where people are always saying, we're lucky, we're lucky to have another day to get better.
Yes.
So
Can I ask a question, Ralph, real quick?
sure.
You guys triggered something, Dr. Hessler and Ralph. This is for both of you guys. Is that like you're saying, if I don't get up, you have that thought about like I won't get better, like when you're exercising, even if you're not, but if you're continuing to exercise and you don't see any improvements at all, I mean, is that still helping with the neuroplasticity in some way? Because you're kind of healing blind. You don't know what's going on in your brain when you're exercising for months and months, years and years and years in your case. I mean, does it, when you're continuing to do that and you don't see any improvement, does it help with neuroplasticity?
I'm gonna
Yes.
You're
let
waking up.
Dr. Hetzler go first.
Yes, it does.
Tell you
Because in
what I
part,
think.
you're also fighting the fact that you're getting older. And doing the exercising helps keep you from getting worse. The,
Right.
the, the older you are and the further removed you are from the time of your stroke, the more difficult it is to improve. So you always can improve, but it takes sometimes a Herculean amount of effort to make a small improvement depending on your age and how far removed you are from your stroke. During that first year or so, a little bit of work goes a long way. If you're 15 years out, a lot of work gets you a short way.
Yep, it lasts a lifetime, but unfortunately, well, that's why doctors wrongly tell you, you'll get what you don't get back in 6 months or a year, or some say 18 months. That's it. Well, that's not it. But there is a period of time, they usually say 6 months, but it's not like a switch. It's like a rheostat. These things are dialed up or dialed down, where you have spontaneous healing. The brain just responds to the fact that you had a stroke. The insult is what doctors usually refer to. The insult causes a reaction to give you more neuroplasticity for a while. That's why I'm always on. You can't make people change. You can help them change, but you can't make anybody change. You can't make anybody better. But I get frustrated for them, not frustrated for me. There's a difference. I'm an empath. When I see people early on, those first 6 months, struggling with the whole mental side of things and not doing what they need to do, I just want to shake them and go, but that won't work. I mean, I just want to go, don't you realize you're burning neuroplasticity? You need to get on it while you've got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work. You can't, it's like you can get somebody's attention a lot more by talking to them calmly than you are by slapping them and then, slapping them and yelling at them because they tune you out. So you got to be real careful. I used to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
I didn't tell
No.
people what to do. I used to be real direct. I would say, well, you need to do this. What do people see? You need to do this. And so
So
now I go like this. Here's what I did, and I don't know if it'll work for you, but it worked for me. Take it if you want it. Because if you're trying to help people, you can't have them shoot the messenger, can you?
no.
So I'm trying to help people, so I had to learn a whole new approach to this so people didn't see this. I had a hard time with it because I'm very direct. I'll just tell you what I think. Some of these folks have been in these meetings after it was over, and they heard me tell them what I think. I can
So real quick, so to the second part of that would be like, when you feel like you've done this for so long, your exercises years, let's just say years or whatever the case might be for anybody, then you feel like you hit a plateau. You just keep exercising to fight through that plateau when you don't see those improvements.
Yeah.
Yes, and what you can do is try to change things up.
Yeah.
For example, try a different exercise.
What
Or
happens if you don't change things up, though? That's what I'm saying. Like, let's say you kept on walking with an AFO, because, like, going back to what you were saying earlier in the beginning of this meeting, Ralph, like, you still have to live your life. So I learned it to get around with my kids or wherever the case might be, to just live a quality of life. Is the only way I could do that is, with my AFO.
right now it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not ignoring you in terms of the ankle roll and everything.
Yeah.
One of the anybody who gets off an AFO leads a dual life for a little while. They work on ankle strengthening and weight bearing, getting that foot flat and things. Meanwhile, they're wearing the AFO. I wouldn't tell you to, I would never tell anybody to like go cold turkey off of it and screw up your life with your kids. You got two beautiful kids and they're active and they're doing things and
Yeah.
you should be a part of them growing up or you'll kick yourself in the butt later if you're not, I mean, they only grow up once and man, they grow up fast. When I had my stroke, I had a little picture of my 5-year-old granddaughter in the back of my wheelchair. I look at it for inspiration. And
Yeah.
now she's about to go to physician's assistant school. She graduated college. She's going on to get a physician's assistant degree. 23 years old, in December. Where time flies, whether you're having fun or not. I got a couple of comments, Musong, on this. Dr. Hetzler's a neuroscientist, but I don't think if you keep doing the same things or you're plateauing or you don't think you're making improvement, I don't think that stops the whole neurons from trying to connect. I still think you're making some level of connections. Could be wrong. That's my opinion. But the main thing I want to say was like yesterday I went and advocated for this young man, Josh. Boy, just take a look at his hands and ankles and you'll feel better. Show them to you if you want.
No, I felt better when you showed it to me that other day.
Yeah, he's got real bad contracture. Anyway, he's a good example. And I'm not picking. If Josh was here, I'd do this with him and ask him to talk to you about the whole thing. He's been at MUSC a couple of weeks. I'm not sure when he got there, 2-3 weeks ago. And at that point, he couldn't bend his knee. Yesterday, they were bending his knee almost to 90 degrees. Now, the therapist was up on the mat with him, holding his leg up and, bending his knee, but it bends now. And the whole time he was talking about not making progress. And I told him 3 times, once in each therapy session, because it came up in each one. He had 3 different therapists. I went to 2 PTs and an OT session with him. I love doing that because I get to watch what they're doing. I also, in this case, they're all women. These gals were all open to like my discussing his case and asking him questions and stuff. So, I get to learn a lot. Anyway, so I told him 3 times, listen to your therapist, because one of them said, Josh, when you got here a few weeks ago, you couldn't bend your knee at all. And now look, and what she's doing that is she's bending his knee almost 90 degrees. So you may be making, the point of this is you may be making progress and you're not aware of it. I mean, how many times, even you at this point, when he's heard this 100 times, you've heard it probably 2 or 3. You can't watch your own hair go gray because you brush your teeth every morning, every night, you shave, you look in the mirror, you comb your hair. So you're seeing yourself all the time. You don't get to step back and take a look at it. That's why people recommend taking lots of pictures. Josh has been taking pictures, taking videos, keeping like a journal of progress, timing how long you stand on your affected leg and stuff like that. And if you're plateauing, Dr. Hetzler is absolutely right, of course, because he's a neuroscientist, but I've confirmed this with, well, I asked 5 or 6 therapists about if they work better with people who do homework, but I've asked 3 or 4 about whether your therapist can plateau you, and they all, without, in a way where, again, I had to learn language. So you're not going to get a therapist to say, I plateau people, or therapists are likely to plateau. So it said, is it possible for your therapist, by not mixing things up, to plateau you? And they all said absolutely. So the thing that you have to do is, Dr. Hetzler will tell you, is the brain, you have all this neuroplasticity, but the brain responds better to being challenged. So if you do the same thing over and over again, your brain learns how to do it. It gets lazy, and you're not getting much out of it.
Okay, so let me ask you this then about not changing up your exercises. And let's say, because you're a biker, you're a cyclist. So let's talk about timing, so I'm biking 6 miles. So I try to do like 28 miles a week on the bike. But in those sessions, I try to do it. Yes, I could do the 6 miles under 20 minutes now, fairly easily. But I try to beat my time, to try to beat my time by, let's say, 10 seconds or 15 seconds, under the 20 minutes.
The other thing is you can't be too hard on yourself. If you had a record, if you took 10 seconds off of it yesterday, what should your goal be to do today? 10 more seconds? Maybe not though. You got to be happy with duplicating what happened yesterday, because it was 10 seconds better than the day before. We all tend to not only not look and not pay attention to the improvement we're making, but we tend to discount them somewhat, in that, like, I mean, if you doubled your money every day, it wouldn't take long to be a billionaire. A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If I give you $1, if I give you $10 and doubles every day, you got 20, you got 40, you got 80. A couple of weeks, you got a couple 100,000. So,
Well, yeah.
Repetition is important in terms of neuroplasticity.
yes.
Doing something over
Even
and
actually,
over and over. I've mentioned this before. You want to try to do what's called massed practice.
Yep.
You've decided you're going to exercise 2 hours a day. You could do it an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon, or 2 hours in a row. And the 2 hours in a row is better for you in terms of neuroplasticity. So you want to try to exercise for a long time in each day, Edward Taub at the University of Alabama in Birmingham would have his patients exercise for 4 to 6 hours a day in sequence. That's for a total of 6 hours long or 4 hours long. That's what they would do every single, well, they did it 5 days a week because you only had therapists there Monday through Friday.
Right.
But you would exercise 4 hours, like noon to 4 o'clock every single day. And even if you're doing the same damn thing over and over, that's going to activate neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
The repetition, and it's the massed repetition. Doing it over and over and over again is going to cause the release of a lot of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and that's what is responsible for the improvements in your brain through neuroplasticity.
And I was
Okay,
just one more thing. I'll let you talk. Want to get this in while we're still on BDNF. Dr. Hetzel and I had a talk on BDNF. I looked. He knows a lot, and I looked up a lot. And one of the things I found was that if you do aerobic exercise before your therapy, 30 minutes of aerobic exercise, exercise produces BDNF too. But they've done studies where had people do their therapy and people do 30 minutes of aerobic exercise before the therapy, and the people who do the aerobic exercise had better results because, in a sense, they primed their brain. They got BDNF going and they kept it going through their therapy. So one thing you could do would be, do your 20 or 40-minute bike ride, your 6-mile bike ride, and then go into some of the things that you're having the most difficulty with. In other words, use that bike riding exercise to get the BDNF flowing, and then work on the hardest stuff. This is for you, and then we'll come back to you, Mousson. This is for you, Dr. Hetzler. I saw somebody on LinkedIn who works at University of Alabama, Birmingham. I would say Ballahama, Birmingham, in the old department that Dr. Taub started, I believe, and they have a new version of CIMT, constraint-induced movement therapy, called ECIMT. Don't know too much about it. I wrote to her, and she's currently seeing if the university will allow her to come on and talk about it. I think they will, but you worked at a university 42 years. You know that the wheels sometimes turn slowly.
Yes, very slowly.
Yeah, so I haven't, it's been less than a week, so I haven't written it off, and I'm not going to circle back and annoy her yet. I'll give her another week or two. But I don't know what it is, but they're working on something called little e CIMT, capital CIMT. I'll see if I can find out anything more about it and email.
Good. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it does. And Mousson, you said you had another question.
Yeah, so when you're talking about the BDNFE, does that promote stem cell mobilization?
No,
No?
it's a chemical that's produced in the brain, and
Okay.
brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's produced by a different chemical, cyclic AMP response element binding protein, produces BDNF.
And does that promote
cascade of events.
neuroplasticity?
What?
Does that promote neuroplasticity?
Yes.
Okay. How can you measure that? Can you do biomarkers by any blood tests to measure that?
Actually, I don't know. It's really not necessary. You just do the exercises and you do the therapy. It's the same way that antidepressants relieve depression. Antidepressants relieve depression by producing BDNF.
Gotcha. Okay, great. And one
Also,
more thing, Ralph. Sorry. Going back, because you kind of triggered something. Going back to the exercises, the high intensity exercises that you were saying. So even when you're trying to even make the getting back to one day, even trying to accomplish the 6 miles on the time that you thought you could do it at, that's got to be somewhat help. That's still a huge accomplishment trying to even do it for the same time that you're doing it. You know,
Right.
this, yeah,
Yeah, people always look at it like, okay, I got 10 seconds yesterday. Well, what you have to do is say, okay, to get that 10 seconds, it took me a week. I stated, let's just say you're doing it in 20 minutes, and now you
yeah,
did 1950, but you were at 20 minutes for a week or two. Why should you expect yourself the very next day to do 1940? In fact, I would be, I'm happy with 20, 1950. If I can duplicate it, to me, that's success, because then I can keep duplicating it and then I can move to 1940. And if the very next day I went back to 20, I would not get discouraged because I was stuck on 20 for 2 weeks. So and I got to 1950. So now I'm back to 20. I'll get back to 1950. And once I do, I'll keep trying to do 1950s, and then I can move on to 1940. It's a
yeah.
progression. If you look at the stock market, you want the
But
curve
it's
to be going up.
duplicating it is hard enough. You know what I mean?
Hmm?
It said, I'm saying duplicating what your measures are is still hard enough.
Yes,
Just duplicate it, keep duplicating it, and eventually your body will change itself so that you get better.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I keep on duplicating and it's still hard. Trying to do 6 miles under 20 minutes on the bike with nine resistance is friggin' hard every time I try to do it.
Yeah, don't worry about getting better. Just worry about trying to do the same thing there.
Okay,
Brain
Well,
that's a
likes,
man.
your brain responds to challenge, but neuroplasticity likes repetition.
Okay,
the other thing is, you may be close to your max. At some point, we get good enough that, you have to really, like if you're racing, I did some sprint triathlons and stuff, and you really have to do a lot more training to keep going at some points. In a sense, you plateau when you get close to like what your body's currently capable of. You have to do a lot of training and build up more muscle mass and more connections and whatever to keep going. Like I was saying, it's like the stock market. You look at the overall curve. The stock market, in order to achieve a curve like that, what does the line look like?
yeah, it does.
So don't beat yourself up on the down days. We tend to beat
Yeah.
ourselves up on the down days and not celebrate the good days enough. That's what I do to myself. That's what I see other people doing. We tend to discount when we do well, or not discount it, not write it off, just not pay as much attention. We tend to, and whereas if we don't do well, man, we pull out that worry right away. And so, it's kind of like, it's back to another form of beating up on yourself. You got to be careful not to beat up on yourself.
Yeah, I think staying consistent is hard enough, like even making those measures.
So praise yourself
Yeah.
for doing 1950 again. 2 days later, after going, so you do a 20, you do a 1950, you go back to 20, then you do 1950. Yes, I'm back. Maybe I won't do a 20 again, but if I do, I'm going to accept it. Maybe,
I look at it and like if I could do it under 20, it's good enough. That's good enough because it's hard to do that anyway.
Well, when I was 45, when I was doing these sprint man triathlons and stuff, I did some 5Ks too. And I was doing pretty good for my age. I mean, of course, the people that were winning it were winning a 5K in like under 16 minutes. I was doing them about just a little more than 20 minutes, 20 minutes and 10 seconds, 20 minutes and 15 seconds. It really pissed me off because I wanted to break 20 minutes. And I did one time. But I spent, because I was close to my capacity at that time as a human being, maybe not if I quit my job and trained all day, but within the parameters of my life at that point and what I was doing and what I was willing to do, I was pretty close to what the most I could do. So how do I break 20 minutes and change it? I put more effort in. I started doing well, when I did triathlons, I would swim and bike 6 days a week, 5 days a week, and I would only run 1 day a week because I got the aerobics off of the biking and swimming. And running's hard on your ankles and knees and everything, so I just avoid. I never ran, actually never ran until I was 40. Well, of course I did when I was a kid and people were chasing me, but when a friend of mine invited me to run, I said, I only run if somebody's chasing me. So anyhow, he got me running, and I ended up. So get back to the running story. What I did was I started working on sprints and power stuff, and I would do sprint repeats and stuff like that, and that's what got me under 20 minutes. But to get those 10 seconds off, I spent several months.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Not every day, just when I trained, I trained more intensely, and it took months. And the first couple times I didn't break it. I went from 2015 to 2005. And I was really pissed off because I was so close. If I, I guess, I wasn't never with somebody that a lot of athletes will do a lot of stuff timing themselves. I always found like checking your time all the time was real distracting for me in terms of performing well. So, yeah. So you do it 20:05 and you want to break 20 minutes, you go, damn, if I'd only known, I could have pushed a little harder. So
Yeah,
what you
I
have
do
to
that to myself all the time.
tell yourself next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing some, I'm not trying to pick on you in any way, but you're doing
You can.
some kind of a version of a small variation of beating up on yourself.
Well, I don't appreciate what I've accomplished. Like
Right.
even trying to do that every single time, 5 days a week, 4 days a week, it's hard. 6 times,
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, so why do I think you could do it? I don't. I mean, it's natural. We all have off days. I mean,
Yeah.
You look at, I don't know, he popped in my mind first. It's not well, it is a performance thing. It's not quite like racing on a bicycle or a running race, but Tiger Woods came back a few years ago and started doing really well. And then he went to the US Open, one big tournament, and he was like 8 strokes out of the lead. Tiger Woods, we all have bad days. So you have to, give yourself some grace. Cut yourself some.
Yeah, I don't say I would have bad days. I would say more like emotionally, yes, I do have bad days just because like I can't believe I'm going through this. Like walking every day, is that with the AFO? This one gets me the worst. Walking with an AFO, is this helping or not? You know what I mean?
Well,
Drives me
another thing
crazy.
you do is question too much, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm kind of now I don't do it completely. I'll use the term blinders, but I'm not completely blind to everything. I'm pretty good at like deciding what I should be doing now, kind of putting the blinders on. Maybe I can look through them, but trying to focus on what I'm doing and moving forward and not worrying about the stock market. I mean, whether the line goes up and down, worrying more about the big curve. I'm what I call a plotter. In my businesses, I just got up every day. When I got discouraged, I just kept going. Just keep going. And my theory is if you keep going, you'll get there. So
Right.
that's my
Which
story.
is hard. Yeah.
Personal. I'm sticking to it because that's what happened to me and what works for me. You got to find out what works for you, but you question a lot and you do a variation of beating up on yourself.
I do that. I do that.
Attitude is that energy would be better put into your therapy than where it's going now.
Yeah, my therapist is like, Musang, when is it going to be to a point where you have realized what you accomplished?
Right. Well, I didn't get to finish about well, I did sort of about Josh with just bending his knee,
Yeah.
but there were other things. They had him stringing a string through these letters with holes in them. Boy, it was tough occupational therapy. He's got 2 bad hands and 2 bad feet. Anyway, you know, he was getting real frustrated because he wanted to be able to do it. Because he sees being able to do it as getting better, getting out of the hospital, getting back to walking again. Will he ever walk again? I don't know. He asked me directly, and I told him exactly what I told you. I can't say. Even the doctors can't say. You got the answer in you more than anything, and you're doing what you can do. Because he's busting his ass. He's working hard.
That's awesome.
Poor thing. And I wrote to Dr. Winston about cryoneurolysis for him, and I have to write him back again because I forgot to mention one thing. I sent him a picture of his hands and his feet, and he went, ooh, looks like a tough case, might need surgery. But what I need to do is write him back and tell him that I've manipulated his fingers. His fingers are all distorted. One joint goes the wrong way, the other one this way. They're
Wow.
oh, they're a mess. And but I looked him in the eyes and said, it doesn't hurt, right? And he said, no. And I took his fingers. It would take me well, I can't do it to my own because it took me both my hands to straighten out each of his fingers. I straightened out all 8 of his fingers all the way to straight, held them like that. And you know, if you looked at his hands, you would think there's no way he could open them or move them at all, but they move. He can't voluntarily move them, but you can move them. And so I need to write back to Dr. Winston about that and just see if that makes a difference. He did say that they could do a nerve block and tell if it would help. But, you know, now you got to he's in a power wheelchair. You got to take him to Atlanta or to Victoria.
Yeah.
That's a trip. I've taken people, I've done wheelchairs on, folding wheelchairs on planes, but I don't know what airlines do with power wheelchairs. Maybe you have to rent one on the other end. I have no idea how to travel like that. So
I wonder
if you run down to
cryoneurolysis
CVS,
would help with the tone. I wonder if Dr. Winston's would that help with tone?
yeah,
The
I mean,
cryoneurolysis?
it gets rid of tone and spasticity the same way Botox does, but it lasts longer.
Yeah, Botox doesn't work for me though. I've
It's a
tried
different
Botox 3
process.
times.
Yeah. Ralph, I'm going to have to say goodbye now. I've got something else I got to
I'm
do
gonna say
today.
goodbye in a minute, but
All right.
thank you, Dr. Hetzler, for showing up and for sharing your knowledge as always.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Dr. Hessler.
So they, you know, he said they can do a nerve block, and then they can tell whether it's going to work or not. But
Yeah.
I mean, if, you know, and hey, if you could get a nerve block done at CVS, you know, I'd run them down there and get one done. But you have to go to, you know, one of the specialists. The closest one to us here, I believe, is Atlanta. I'd have to check with Polly Hutchison and the post-stroke spasticity group. They're compiling a list of providers that also provide cryoneurolysis. Dr. Winston has trained about 300 people around the world, a lot in Europe and all over the States, New York City, Atlanta, San Francisco, somewhere in Florida. They tend to be they're going to tend to be in the big cities because, you know, well, there aren't a lot of neurologists in South Dakota or North Dakota or, you know, rural places to begin with, and there aren't a lot of patients, and there aren't clinics that are big enough that would support that kind of work, so you tend to find them in the city. I got to find out if it works first before we start talking about taking them to Atlanta or something.
Yeah, I wonder if that would help with my inversion.
What's interesting, Musan, and you'll find this interesting in terms of the AFO stuff, was So as bad as his contractures are, and I looked up contractures versus inversions, and AI told me there was a big difference, and it explained it, and I didn't really understand. I understood, but I didn't think it explained the big difference to me. I'm not real clear on what's an inversion, what's a contracture, but as bad as his feet are twisted, let's just say that. How about that?
Yep.
They were able to take them and move them. I did it back in the room. I honked on his ankle and I moved it and I held it there and I said, watch this. And I pulled it a little bit more and I held it there for 30 seconds. And I pulled it a little bit more. And in both cases, we got him, the therapist and me got him back to close to where you are. I mean,
Neutral, somewhat neutral.
yeah, they got him from like, 30, take him from 30 or 40 degrees back to, 5 or so. You're at 2 or 3 or 4. And my method won't work for somebody like Josh. He can't stand. He can't do any weight bearing at this point.
Gotcha.
He may have to have surgery to correct his ankles in order to be able to stand. He may listen to this. He may watch this later. So I'm not being careful about what I'm saying, but he knows he's got it tough, and it's not going to happen overnight. He's also prepared to hang in there. I call it in for the long haul. Of course, he had 4 years of I don't know all the circumstances, so I don't want to say bad medical care. He had 4 years of neglect, and a doctor took pity on him and got him into the hospital. Now the hospital is going to get him to a subacute rehab place or a nursing home. So his life has flipped in the last month or so, and we're just, all of us who are trying to help him, we're just trying to help him keep that momentum going.
That's amazing.
Last thing I
you're
told him was, I said, Josh, as hard as you got it, you got hope. And I just want to tell you one thing. Hang on to that hope, because it's easier to hang on to it than it is to get it back if you let it go. And I read a quote yesterday. He'd actually heard it. I repeated it to him. Franklin Roosevelt said, when you get to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
God dang. I can't believe that he's going through all that. And you said this is after 4 years? Wow. God
yeah,
dang.
he had 2 strokes. One, I think one is, I have his medical records, but there's 788 pages of them, and I haven't had time. I'm trying to find the release pages because they have a summary of what he came in with, what they did, and how he left. But I went back about 100 pages on the initial hospital. He was in a coma. Oh, he had it bad. He was in a coma, and his family or somebody they were going to pull the plug on him on
Oh my
Tuesday.
God.
They were
No
going to pull
way.
the plug on him on a Tuesday, and Monday he came out of the coma. The day before they were going to pull the plug,
Good Lord.
came out of the coma. He had a lot of people tell him he won't get better. You guys would make good friends. You could ask each other. I'm not picking on, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say, he's real concerned about whether he's going to get better or not.
Yeah.
I did not say to him, I would, put that energy into getting better.
Mhm.
Worrying about it doesn't do much good.
No, it does
And
not.
nobody's got the answer. We all ask
No,
ourselves questions to which there is no answer, don't we?
that's for sure. Yeah.
Ralph,
Yeah.
I've one thing I've picked up from today was to increase my calf muscle. I've got stairs in my house, and when you lean forward, you have to use your calf muscle to sort of push off with your affected leg. So going up and down stairs a few times, that probably be a good exercise.
It would be. Also, if you got stairs, you're left affected, aren't you?
Yes.
You have a railing on the right? Probably do.
Yeah, yeah. So I could use the eccentric strengthener as well by dropping my ankle, dropping my
Well,
heel.
you could do that. You could grab onto the rail and do the dip below. I'll drop you that video in either WhatsApp or WhatsApp, because that's where we usually talk.
Yeah.
And you can see what I'm talking about. I actually draw a line and you can see my heels go below. That way you're doing dorsiflexion too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure I didn't invent it. No one ever showed it to me. I came home one day, got out of the car. Whenever I'm in the car, I get like tight. 5 minutes, 5 hours, doesn't matter. I get all like kind of tight. It's gotten better over the years, but after my stroke, it was bad. So I just gotten home from a doctor's appointment or something, and I didn't even make it into the house. When I started I came up on this like little deck we had, one step up, and there were railings on both sides with a gap for the, and I grabbed onto them and I started doing heel raises, because like when I get out of a rest stop, I'll turn around to the car and I'll do like heel raises, and I'll grab the handle of the car, and if it has one, old cars' handles are all recessed now. I'll grab something or just put my hands on the car and do some squats, couple heel raises, couple squats, gets me out of that all tense thing. So I just wanted to get on tense, and I went and did some heel raises, and then one time I went below grade, and I went, ooh, interesting. So I started doing them up and down, and after that I did them that way a lot of times. Not every time, but can't do them.
I hear the eccentric strengthening is better than
Yeah.
doing it normally. Why don't you post it on Stroke Buddy's Facebook and then send me the link? That way everybody can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I will. All right. Let me write that down. Heel raises, SV, tag Chris. All right, I got it. I'll do it. I'll just say it came up today.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll post roll-offs too, because that's the lead up to that.
That's true. It remind people you've got to you hold these classes as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could also say, I could say it came up in this class. We'll be back to doing this. Well, it'll be 3 weeks unless I get another guest. Next week we're doing Dr. Sam, and the week after we got Rachel and Angelia coming on to talk about stroke yoga and what they're doing together. And stroke yoga is back on. Actually, my sister-in-law is going to start again in October. She hurt her shoulder. We've had a lot of, Rachel was regrouping, Angelia was regrouping, Chris hurt her shoulder, and Jill had back issues. So we had 2 yoga classes and a fitness class disappear on us this summer. Of course, I don't look at it. Jill and Chris had injuries, and of course they shouldn't do anything. But all of a sudden we went from lots of yoga and fitness to not much. So
yeah,
I'll do that. Also post roll-offs, and I'll mention PT class. All right. Well, I guess what I'm gonna do is go ahead and end this on YouTube. And
Thanks a lot, Ralph. Appreciate
no problem. No problem. Okay.
I'm not going to be there tomorrow in the yoga class.
Okay.